What is up, my dudes and that one girl who owns one too many bedazzled Harley Davidson tank tops? This is Bikes, Beards, and Brews. Let's kick that intro. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Before we kick this one off, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification. New videos on Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays. Yeah, we're just doing this. Let's get the other stuff out of the way. Want to save 10% on a Cardinal communicator? Check my referral link down below. Want to support me in all my do-gooderness, like these cool guys here? Boom! You should check my coffee page down below. Want to know why I'm asking you for money? Spoiler alert, it's not to buy any of that absolutely disgusting alcohol-free beer that they keep shoving down our throats during dry January. Seriously, that stuff's absolutely pointless. If you need alcohol-free beer, just go out and buy a Mountain Dew. It is for a good cause. That link is also down below. So let's just jump into this. Today, we are going to talk about the top 5 things, my personal top 5 things that I feel like Harley could do to be better. And honestly, a lot of us are going to have different ideas, different views, different thoughts, and that's great. I want to open this up to conversation. And down in the comments, after we get through this top 5, I would love to hear what some of your ideas are. Because it's very easy to trash like Harley. It's very easy to bag on them. It's very easy to be like, oh, you're dead, you're over, your brand is gone. Let's be honest, that's not true. They're still pretty much top of the heap because everyone around is still chasing them when it comes to the American cruiser market. So let's get a little more productive today, and that's what I kind of want to offer. I'm going to put out my top 5. You may not agree with all of them. We'll have that conversation down below in the comment section. So let's get right into this. I'm going to start with number 5. And that is Harley needs to tap into the youth market a whole lot more. And when I say the youth market, I don't mean like, 18-year-old, 20-year-olds, like early 20s. I'm talking like late 20s, early 30s, even early 40s. Now I know that a lot of you are like, that's not the youth market, but we're talking about Harley here and we're grading on a curve. If you've looked at Harley over the past few years, a lot of the stuff they're aiming at is really those older riders. They're really leaning into the trikes. They're leaning into the CVOs and stuff like that. These very high priced ticket items and stuff like the trikes are for people who's like, all right, I can't hold up 2 wheels anymore. So great, here's your trike. And here's the thing, I don't mean leave those guys out in the cold either. Harley needs to find a good balance between the two because you have to reach out to this younger market. Part of the way that I'm thinking that they should really reach out to this market, they've kind of dabbled in, but they haven't like really just dove into this pool yet, and they really should. And that's really reaching out to like content creators, moto vloggers, like people who are fabricating awesome stuff for like Harleys and stuff like that. When you look at like YouTube or something like that, and you see somebody who's like on a full-size bagger and all of a sudden they're doing like a full straight up like wheelie down like some bridge on like in LA or New York or something like that. Yeah, it might be a little bit illegal, but it looks absolutely awesome. You see a lot of these guys who are just taking like road glides, street glides, road kings, stuff like that, and they're making these awesome performance baggers out of them. And that's what Harley should be like leaning into a little bit more. They should really be investing in this sort of market, and they should be investing in these people instead of bringing us like 2-lane life. And like I said before, I have nothing against 2-lane life, but these are guys that they are well endorsed, well sponsored. They don't have a lot of flesh in the game. They're 2 older guys. I mean, literally they sat there and were like, oh cool, my cowboy hat can fit in the back of this king-size tour pack, so this is a great bike. That is a horrible argument, and that is a horrible way to reach out to younger riders. If anything, you should almost be doing like a cigarette ad here. Back in the day, a lot of these different cigarette companies would like claim they were marketing towards like adults, and they were actually aiming towards children, like the Joe Cool Camel and all that stuff. That's what Harley should be doing. Yes, you've got like your older riders and stuff like that. Do a little bait and switch. Be like, hey, we're here for you guys. But at the same time, you're marketing towards this younger sort of like these people that are going to bring you into the next millennia and stuff like that. Harley, you really need to pay attention to this. And Harley's tried this before. They did like the street models, which failed. And before that, if some of you remember, like a couple years back when they reintroduced the Fat Bob and the Street Bob and stuff like that, they sent out a lot of these bikes. They sent out some to like Hollywood A-listers. They sent one to like Aquaman. And then they sent some out to like moto vloggers. And it was basically like, you know, here's your new crate bike. Check it out. Open it up. And everyone was like opening them. And they're like, oh, this is great. They took them for rides, all this stuff. And then Harley turned around and only asked these content creators and moto vloggers for the bikes back. That was such a douche move. Harley, you should have just let them keep it. If anything, you should have sent Aquaman a bill because he can afford to pay it. And then you should have let your content creators keep that with no arguments, no fights, no nothing, because they would have been on those bikes creating content and promoting for you. That would have just been a rolling commercial week after week, and you kind of screwed the pooch on that one. So that's my number 5. All right, so let's jump into number 4. This kind of plays into the last one. There needs to be a sport line for the baggers. And I don't mean like what you've got right now with the STs. The STs, basically all they've done is they put the 117 engine in there from the CVOs. I mean, put a liquid cooled engine in there that has some serious horsepower, that can be upgraded, that is going to be an actual performance engine that is going to be able to go toe to toe with your competitors. Let's be honest, the Road Glide gets its wheels blown off it day after day if it lines up against a Challenger. Like a base level Challenger is coming in at like 120 horsepower. Your CVO Road Glide with the 117 does not even have that amount of horsepower in it until you throw a bunch more money into it and build it up. You guys got to stop. And the thing is, Harley are the kings of putting out variants of different bikes. So this wouldn't be something where you're leaving those people who like air-cooled bikes out in the cold. You could have your Road Glide Standard, your Road Glide Special, your Road Glide Tourer, like whatever the hell that thing's called, your Road Glide CVO, your Road Glide Tricycle, and then your Road Glide Sport. I fail to believe that Harley cannot have their engineers come up with a way to have a liquid-cooled engine bolt into the same frame as an air-cooled engine. Make that stuff swappable, or even if you can't, make it 2 different frames, because that liquid-cooled frame is going to be your Road Glide frame, your Street Glide frame, your Road King frame. So it's not like it's going to be a one and done. And that's going to help you reach out to some of this younger market. Air-cooled engines are going the way of the dinosaur. There are so many countries passing so many different laws and regulations that in a few years, you're just not going to be able to make and sell air-cooled. You might as well just, again, jump into that pool now, start getting your toes wet, so when it comes time, the transition is a whole lot easier and it's not such a huge shock to people when you make that conversion over. You need to do this, Harley. Like, get out there with some more liquid-cooled engines. Number 3, and honestly, I think this is probably one of the more controversial ones, because depending on who you talk to, I feel like it's a pretty even split. Some people absolutely hate this bike. Some people absolutely love this bike. I would love to see them bring back the VRod. Now, here's the thing. I'm not a huge fan of the old school VRod. However, I do appreciate the fact that it was pretty much ahead of its time when it comes to Harley design and Harley motorcycles. You had a liquid-cooled beast that was partially designed by Porsche. I mean, this engine was just absolutely evil. When that bike first came out, it looked a little derpy. It didn't sound that cool, like, and a lot of people rejected it for not being a Harley because it didn't have that sound or look. As time went on, people really started warming up to it. And part of that is because the aftermarket started catching up with it, and you had some really cool looking V-Rods like coming out. Like, people were putting on, like, they were lowering them, they were putting on like better exhaust, they were changing the lights, they were just making these things look like absolute monsters. I would love to see that come back as your like performance muscle bike. And I understand that you brought the Breakout back to be your performance muscle bike and all that, but it's got the 117 air cooled, so it's really not that spectacular when you already have a whole ST line sporting that same engine as well as the CVO. And again, eventually those air-cooled engines are going away, so it's time to start bringing some of this stuff back or investing in this technology, because this is the way you're heading, guys. You should really bring back the VRod, and I don't mean exactly the way it was. Update it a little bit, make it look a little nicer, you know, bring it into this generation, like streamline it a little more. Maybe don't put the gas tank under the seat, maybe have a bigger gas tank so it's not just a bar hopper, but really invest in making that just an absolutely evil monster of a bike, and that would be so sick. All right, let's move on to number 2. You just need to put the 131s in the CVOs. And here's the thing, the way the CVOs have always been presented to me, the way I've always understood them is, this is Harley's best of the best. These are the bikes where like you have like the newest cutting edge parts on there, you have a great like paint job that is not something that's comparable to like the other bikes in your line. You have like all the stuff that you can't get from the other bikes. Like, this is supposed to be the cream of the crop. This is supposed to be the poster children for Harley, like just being an amazing production company. And instead, we've really gotten to the point where, what do they have that other bikes don't? You can get a custom paint job, which, I mean, even this 120th anniversary paint job looks better than some of the CVO paints I've seen back in the day. And, you know, recycling gunship gray, but making it just slightly different 2 years after it was on a CVO, all very, very lazy on Harley's part. So even the paint's suspect at this point. You can get powered locks for your bags. That's really it. Anything else in there are catalog parts. Like, they'll even tell you, they're like, oh, hey, you know, we went big kahuna on like this generation CVO. Oh, we went like, you know, this, that. It's all catalog parts where they just put it all on, they put the paint on, they specially number the thing, and they send it out. The 117 is now in the ST lineup. It's now in the breakout lineup. So you can't even say like it's got the bigger, badder engine, because you can pick this up on at least 4 other bikes now. This is absolutely ridiculous. Put the 131 in there, maybe put a few more special parts on there again. Restore this thing to where it needs to be, especially like with the 120th anniversary. You've introduced one CVO so far and it's over $50,000. You didn't do anything except paint it, throw a badge on it, and have powered locks again. Like, that is not enough to separate it, and it's definitely not enough to throw like a $55,000 like price tag on it. Harley, seriously, come on, guys. All right, so my number 1, I feel like this should almost be a no-brainer, and that is, Harley has this habit of every 5 years, they do their celebrations, they do their birthdays. So it's 100, 105, 110, 115, and just so on and so forth. And it's a way for them to, like, you know, get their name out there and all that stuff. Here's the thing, Harley should really be using these 5-year marks and using these anniversary models to introduce where the bikes are going, like the upgrades, the changes. And here's what I mean, like street glides, road glides, stuff like that. Great example. In 2014, they released Project Rushmore. Project Rushmore added some more vents, changed the windshield, changed the like fairings on these bikes so you didn't get as much like wind hitting you, you didn't get the head bobble and all that. It put the infotainment center in there and stuff like that, so they upgraded it. The problem is that's getting very long in the tooth. Like I said, 2014 is when these were introduced. It's 2023 now and they've already introduced the 120th anniversary models. The only thing they've really done to these Project Rushmore fairings is the road glides. They took out the open and close air dams on the front of them because they would stick, they would break, they would get warranted through Harley. Harley decided instead of actually fixing the issue and correcting it, they would just remove it altogether. That's not an improvement, Harley, that's a surrender. Good job waving the white flag. At this point in time, there should be an update to these fairings because quite honestly, there is really not too much that separates a 2014 from a 2023. You've made other changes. 2018, you blacked out the engines. Like 2022, you had a choice between black or chrome on the specials, stuff like that. But you're not doing anything extravagant. It comes down to like color changes and maybe a 1-inch rim change or a different rims like on the bike. You really should be falling into this pattern. Like car manufacturers do it, other motorcycle manufacturers do it. Lots of companies do this where they get into a 5-year cycle where 5 years is when they roll out the newer car, like the thing that has the most improvements, the changes and stuff like that. Use your 5-year anniversaries as the platform to go, look at all the amazing stuff we've changed on this bike and how we are going to go forth for the next 4 or 5 years with this design. That would be so much better than like the 120th where you're like, we painted them red, woo! Like that was so underwhelming. It was just so depressingly underwhelming. Like use that 5-year. Do something amazing with it. And then like the years in between that, you can roll out some minor changes on some other bikes. Like the Nightster would have been great as like a one-off where you're like, oh, hey, we added a back seat and a TFT screen. Cool, that can be like an off-year sort of thing. You could do a quick video on, hey, look at our new paint colors. But aside from that, use your off years to kind of lean into like more of a social marketing sort of like setup. Like send us videos where it's like, hey, we're gonna take you inside Harley today. We're gonna show you how we like build like the V-twin engine. We're gonna show you how we test like, you know, this. We're gonna show you how we do that. Take us behind the scenes. Take us on good rides. Take us like, make it interesting. Don't just make it so every single video is just like, oh, hey, we changed the paint. And oh, by the way, we brought this bike back from the dead and that one back from the dead. And I realize there's a little humor to that because I said bring the VRod back, but I mean honestly you don't have a liquid cooled muscle bike, so that's my idea. But yeah, you don't need to do these huge party celebrations every single year. You could give us something different year after year, and then on that 5-year mark, that's where you show us those major changes. I mean, even the 4-year, like, 5-year, you got the major changes. Those 4 years in between, give us other stuff. Like, give us like, oh, hey, we upgraded our suspension on all the bikes or stuff like that. You know what I mean? Come on, work with me. So that's what I got. Guys, what do you have? Like I said, comments down below. Let's be honest, bring back the panhead, bring back the knucklehead, bring back this. It's never going to happen. EPA regulations are never going to allow that. So let's try and like deal in the world of like realism and stuff like that. And let's try and save all the comments of Harley's dead, it's gone, it's just a t-shirt shop. It's really not. I mean, when it comes to like the cruiser market and stuff, most companies are still like chasing after Harley for that domestic cruiser market. Let's be honest. So yeah, let's get a little productive. Let's get the creative juices flowing. Sound off down below. And yeah, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share this video with friends, share it with family, share it with that one dork you know who's doing dry January, because why? Seriously, if you need to dry out for a whole month, maybe you shouldn't start drinking again in February 1st. You definitely have yourself an issue there, buddy. He loves this stuff, trust me. And I'll see you all on the flip side.